Hello, this is JC De Guzman for our daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. This is for May 28, 2019, and today I'll be discussing 10 different stocks with you or for you, and everything that you will hear me say is geared towards short-term trading. Just in case you have some follow-up questions right after listening or watching this video, please post those questions in our private clients forum. I will be creating a new thread for this video for May 28, 2019 right after recording this video. Let's begin with the first stock in the list. We have Bloomberry. Bloomberry closed today at 11.7. Support is at 11.12. Resistance is at 12.96. We can see here that the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo are still true, even though we see a green candlestick today with a strong volume. Let me just remind you that the bulls are not yet in complete control of the situation. Although there is a formation of a bullish convergence between the positive and the negative DMI in favor of the positive DMI. I think we can only see a crossover between the positive and the negative DMI once the price breaks above 12 pesos per share. Okay, now let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of Bloom. If we will see here that the today's price action was in favor of the buyers, and I think it is. Okay, the dominant range is between 11.2 to 11.7. That's in favor of the buyers. Now I am bullish on Bloom, and for those of you who may have who may have been who might be able who may have already uh, uh, who may have already been trading Bloom below 11 pesos per share, I suggest that you stick with your trailing stop loss. If you don't have Bloom yet, you can consider entering a new position or doing a test buy within the dominant range that I've given you, provided you are happy with the reward to risk ratio. What is this reward to risk ratio? I suggest that you go back to the quick start guide. That's where I have already explained this terminology and how you should calculate it as well. Okay, so next stock in the list we have VUL. So VUL closed today at 1.35. It broke above its previous resistance at 1.31, which is now acting as its immediate support. Resistance is at 1.91 or 1.90. Should the price goes back or retreats below 1.31, that will make 1 peso per share as its immediate support. The conditions of my MACD and 10 SMA combo are still true. I can see on the DMI histogram that the ball is already in the court of the bulls, but the upward momentum has not touched the very strong category yet. Let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of VUL. So VUL's dominant range is between 1.29 to 1.43. That's clearly in favor of the buyer since that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Therefore, if you have had VUL, it's also good to stick with your trailing stop loss. Again, do not forget to do an upward adjustment every time the price inches higher than where it is at the moment. If you are thinking if it's logical to enter a new position, I think it is, but there's a caveat, there's a friendly reminder, because RSI is already approaching the classical overbought level. So let me just add some reminder. Let me just add a reminder for those of you who might have been trading VUL for a few days already. Consider locking in some profits near 1.5. Okay, if you already have VUL. Now, if you don't have VUL and if you would like to enter a new position, consider what I have just mentioned, that RSI is approaching the classical overbought level already. So you think about it, should you enter a new position now since there are bullish signals, or you would rather wait for a breakout above 1.5? It's up to you to decide now. So next stock in the list we have WLCON. WLCON closed today at 17.16. It broke above the previous resistance at 17.07. That one is now acting as its immediate support. So therefore, the resistance now is the psychological resistance is in confluence with the 61.8% up Fibonacci extension, which is at 18.2. That's your resistance. For the 10 SMA and MACD combo, the conditions have not been met yet because the MACD line is still moving below the signal line, although there is a formation of a bullish convergence in favor of the MACD. Okay, let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart. The dominant range is between 16.44 to 16.7. We can see here that WLCON was forced closed at 17.16 in the afternoon. Nonetheless, the dominant range or this trade and volume distribution chart is in favor of the buyers, courtesy of this huge volume and the relatively high number of trades registered at its closing price at 17.16 despite being forced closed. So if you have had WLCON, let's say around 15.8, you are in a better position to respect your trailing stop loss. And if you don't have WLCON but are planning to trade the name, I suggest that you do it. You monitor WLCON first within the first 5 to 10 minutes of trading if it can sustain its ascent above 17.16 or 17.2. If it can sustain this ascent uh, with a good volume, relatively high volume, then that's the time that you should do a test buy within the dominant range as of that time of checking. If you need my assistance on how to do a new trade and volume distribution analysis, please post a request in our private clients forum. Alright, so next stock we have Double Dragon. Double Dragon closed today at 25.4, support is at 23.9, resistance is at 27.10. It's already moving above the 10 SMA, but MACD is still moving below the signal line, although I am seeing a formation of a bullish convergence between MACD and the signal line. As for the status of the 4 points that we are monitoring, let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart to see if we will get a perfect 4-point score. And I think we just did. The dominant range is between 24.25 to 25.4 in favor of the buyers. So in the short term, I remain bullish on Double Dragon. Okay, you can continue to top up or do a test buy within the dominant range that I've just mentioned a few seconds ago. I am bullish on Double Dragon in the short term. Although MACD is still below the signal line, we can preempt that since the 4 points that we have just checked are all present. MAC is the next stock in the list. Macro Asia Corporation closed today at 20.8. Support is at 18.6. Resistance is at 21 peso flat. The conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo are still true. The positive DMI just crossed above the negative DMI, and it also appears here that the upward momentum has already entered the very strong category. Okay, let's see the trade and volume distribution chart if we will see the same sentiment. The dominant range here is between 19.96 and 20 peso per share. However, I'm seeing a huge volume transacted at 20.80 with a convincing number of trades. So therefore, we have a range and a single price point. So still, this is in favor of the buyers. So therefore, I remain bullish on MAC in the short term. RSI is still relatively not that near from the classical overbought level. So there's still more room for RSI for MAC to do the cha-cha so to say, to do the cha-cha, or in other words, to cross above the resistance at 21 peso per share. Okay, so consider those things that I've mentioned if you're just planning to enter a new position on MAC. Next, we have GTCAP. GTCAP closed today at 863.5. Support is at 845.25, while resistance is at 900.70. This red candlestick today was closed below the VWAP. It was also matched with the red tall uh, volume bar. Okay. Although the positive DMI is still moving above the negative DMI, the positive DMI is already downward sloping. So when the positive DMI, RSI, or MACD is downward sloping, it means to say that the ascent in price is, or the uptrend is slowly uh, getting weakened uh, with each passing a day. So let's take a look at GTCAP's trade and volume distribution chart. Yes, it was a bearish day for GTCAP. The dominant range is between 883 to 863.5, 863.5 to 883. It's in favor of the sellers. So if you are eyeing GTCAP to be traded in on a short term, I suggest that you wait for the price to break below 840 845.25. Okay, so monitor GTCAP for now. But if you have been trading GTCAP for a while now for short-term trading purposes, consider locking in your profits by selling on strength. Okay, next stock is Cebu Pacific. Cebu Pacific closed today at 86 pesos per share. Support is at 80.8, resistance is at 91.35. It already broke below the 10 SMA. MACD is already downward sloping, although it's still moving above the 10 SMA. Nonetheless, no, not the 10 SMA, but the signal line. Nonetheless, the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo are no longer true. The positive DMI is also downward sloping. Now let's take a look at its trade and volume distribution chart. For Cebu Pacific, the dominant range is between 86 to 88.5 in favor of the sellers. So if you have had Cebu Pacific for short-term trading, it was wise if you made an attempt to sell close to 90 peso per share. Anyway, during the last week or since Monday, RSI already approached the classical overbought level, although it did not literally enter that perfect classical overbought level. It was very close to that area. Maybe that's one of the reasons, technical reasons, why traders of Cebu Pacific considered locking in some profits near 90 pesos per share. I suggest you do the same. And if you don't have Cebu Pacific for short-term trading purposes, don't buy just yet. Wait for a pullback uh, to the lowest possible price that you could see before you will see those 4 points appearing again. What are those 4 points? Green candlestick, it closed above the VWAP, tall green volume bar, uh, dominant range closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Those four criteria, if they are present, that's the time that you should consider doing a test buy. Not now. Okay. Next, we have TKC Metals once again. So TKC registered another red candlestick today again. So the bearishness continues. I'm not going to make some comments about the other indicators because I just talked about TKC in my previous video. Let's just take a look at TKC's trade and volume distribution chart. It's the dominant range is between 1.22 to 1.3. It's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high in favor of the sellers, meaning to say. So it's all the more again that you should not hurry in trading TKC. Wait for a pullback. I told you during the first last week that I was already adamant or hesitant to trade TKC because of its high possibility to fill the gap down. Okay. Next we have Web. Web closed today at 3.3. Support is at 3.24. Resistance is at 3.84. It's at the brink of closing or breaking down or breaking below 3.24. Foreign investors sold about, they registered a net foreign selling worth 2 million pesos today. Web is still moving above the 10 SMA and MACD is still above the signal line. So if you manage to catch Web near 2.8, okay, if you did, okay, um, although I doubt that many of you did that because the 10 SMA and MACD, the conditions of my 10 SMA and MACD combo did not appear, okay, did not appear last week or maybe even 2 weeks ago. They just appeared, yeah, last week about May 22 or May 23. So if you caught Web around below 3 peso per share, I suggest that you preempt, okay, preempt your trailing stop loss. Mean to say, you can now consider selling with gains even before your trailing stop loss will be hit. However, if you don't have Web but you are interested to trade the name, please do not hurry. Wait for the price. Uh, to continue monitoring to see if the price will bounce away from 3.24 or if it will continue its descent all the way to 2.8 again. So monitor for now if you don't have Web. If you do have it, consider preempting your trailing stop loss, or mean to say, sell earlier than your trailing stop loss because of today's bearishness. Okay, so that's it for Web. Let's take a look at its trade and volume distribution chart here. The dominant range is between 3.25 to 3.36 in favor of the sellers. Last stock for today's video is COSCO. COSCO Capital Incorporated closed today at 6.75. Support is at 6.58 or 6.60. Resistance is at 7.34. This is a tall red candlestick with a bearish volume as well. Foreign investors registered a net foreign selling worth 6.5 million pesos. Mind you, COSCO has already been moving below its 10 SMA, and MACD has been moving below the signal line since when? Since April, second week of April. So it's been a long time that COSCO has been tracking the bearish trajectory or channel. On the DMI histogram, bears are still in control, obviously, and the downward momentum remains strong. So just watch COSCO for now. Don't enter, don't do a test buy just yet. Let's see if it will bounce away at 6.58 or it will continue its descent even lower than 6.58. Let's see. Okay, so there you go. Let's take a look at the trade and volume distribution chart of COSCO. Clearly, it's in favor of the sellers. The dominant range is between 6.75 to 7.04. Alright, so you've heard my technical analysis for today's trading for these 10 stocks, and I do hope this video will help you have an independent, data-oriented, and disciplined trading day ahead. By the way, if you would like to attend, I strongly recommend that you attend one of my advanced seminars, namely the Evergreen Strategy in Trading the Philippine Stock Market, because I consider that as an important workshop for you, especially if you are a subscriber of Equilist Analytics, so that you can really appreciate the methodology, the, the practices that we are doing here, the way I assist you. That's also an opportunity for you to learn firsthand in person um, the our processes, the methods, and the tools that we are using as well. So it's one way for you to maximize the learnings or the lessons that you will learn from being a subscriber of Equalist Analytics. And you can always check the schedule if I have one in your area by visiting our website at www.equalist.com and then click on seminars. I think there's still a few seats left in Davao, Iloilo, Cebu, Angeles City, Cavite, Baguio, etc. Alright, so again, my name is JC De Guzman, and have a great day.